Welcome to Bart's Gaming Corner. What actually is an RPG? What game comes close to giving you the ultimate RPG experience? An RPG is literally a role-playing game, a game where you play a role. Most role-playing games are a combination of a preferably good story, some puzzles, character development and combat. Lots and lots of combat. Either in real time, first person or turn based. But doesn't always have to be. The truly great games out there offer the player different avenues in working out challenges. For instance, there is a Let's Play video out there of a gamer finishing Fallout New Vegas using only non-violent options, which is a very difficult feat in itself, since there are a lot of enemies, either human or otherwise, who will attack your character regardless of how high your dialogue or science skill is. But what if there's an RPG out there that actually offers you a setting where you have to use your wits, dialogue options and what else, without having to resort to combat on any occasion? There aren't many such games out there, but the isometric RPG Disco Elysium, the final cut, is the exception to the rule. Disco Elysium came out in late 2019 and was, and still is, regarded one of the most original role-playing games at the moment. Took a while for me to play it and give this game a proper review, but with the final cut version now available and on Nintendo Switch as well, here goes. But first, if you like this type of content, hit the like and subscribe button. You would really help me out. Most RPGs take place in either the typical medieval European fantasy world, science fiction, or some sort of dystopian apocalyptic setting, such as Fallout, or the fun but ruthless world of cyberpunk. Disco Elysium offers a completely new and original setting, the world of Elysium, a realistic fantasy setting with late 20th century technology and fashion, but all in its own unique style. For instance, you have cars, featuring radios, but they look like they were designed for some kind of Pinewood derby. You begin the game in a rundown motel called a cafeteria, where your main character just woke up with a massive hangover, trying to figure out who you are and where you are. You are actually a police detective, but in the process of your drunken escapade you have lost your badge and gun and you have no idea who you are. In the dilapidated garden of the cafeteria, a body is hanging from a tree and it's your job, and that of your new partner, Lieutenant Kim, to solve the murder, and in the process figuring out who you are. Elysium is a rough place where justice and equality aren't always in the forefront of the minds of the different factions you will encounter. Combined with the memory loss of your main character, all of this is very much reminiscent of the classic Planescape Torment. Both games feature some interesting gameplay elements, but it's really in the story and character development where they both shine. The story of Disco Elysium originally was conceived in a not so well-known book by Estonian writer Robert Korvits, who is also the main designer and driving force behind this game. Gameplay. Disco Elysium plays more like an old-fashioned point-and-click adventure from the 90s than a typical RPG. You click and interact with certain areas to further the story, but at different points in-game it truly feels like an RPG. Depending on what type of character you play, someone who's either strong, smart or charismatic, or what goes for charisma when you're playing a middle-aged drunk, the game settles the challenges you come across through different skill checks. For any task you finish, you get XP, just like with any other RPG, and when you level up you can upgrade your character. Not being able to finish a certain task doesn't mean you're stuck. The game almost always offers different options to further the story. While combat isn't an important feature, you can try to hit an NPC now and then, you can die in Disco Elysium. A lot. In my first playthrough, my character died after playing just 20 minutes. Just outside the cafeteria I came across a high-minded union leader and tried to hit him. He easily caught my fist, and in the ensuing struggle my weak, booze-soaked heart gave away. Game over, man. It's all in the dialogue where the game truly shines. We have many interesting conversations with all manner of NPCs, where your character can get a result by giving the most weird and outrageous statements. And let's not forget the different aspects of your subconscious who butt in almost every situation. They can be helpful, to your detriment, distracting, or just plain wacky. Graphics. The graphics are good, but probably won't win any awards. They are in the overall style we've come to expect from such isometric RPGs. Especially in the letter font of the dialogue, it looks almost exactly the same as the original Baldur's Gate or the more current Pillars of Eternity. However, the graphics do have a unique particular flavor of their own. The style and colors have been compared to oil paintings from the late 19th century and early 20th century. Sound. The sound effects are all well done. Without too much combat or magic, Disco Elysium is somewhat quieter than the average RPG, but everything, from opening doors to collecting bottles for instance, sounds good. Almost every NPC you come across is fully voice acted, and the voice acting itself is of a very high level. All of which makes this game feel almost like a AAA title. Among the voice actors are musicians like Mikey W. Goodman and Mark Holcomb. The in-game soundtrack was created by the British band Sea Power. It has a kind of electro-pop or synthwave kind of vibe and is either cheerful or at most times melancholic. Exactly what you want from a detective RPG. Conclusion. In all honesty, it took a while for me to get a grip on the game. I could see the brilliance and understood why so many other reviewers had given Disco Elysium excellent marks, but this game is not for the casual gamer. However, if you take the time, as I did, you will have a marvelous experience. Disco Elysium offers you an original, well thought out and at times hilarious RPG. The last couple of years saw a great amount of excellent and some mediocre isometric RPGs be released, and the coming years won't be any different. In this ocean it's difficult to stand out and be original and fresh. Disco Elysium is all of that, so I can highly recommend it. I give Disco Elysium a score of 9 out of 10. This final cut version of Disco Elysium is available on almost every gaming platform: PC, Mac, PS4 and PS5, Nintendo Switch and Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S.